prepare for 4-state winters. Also, tips from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen that guarantee once your Thanksgiving turkey hits the dinner table, it won't last. The OSBI investigates the death of an inmate at the Ottawa County Jail. This is the KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Tapping our first 7 minutes. Authorities are waiting on the autopsy results for Michael Victor. The 38-year-old had been in the Ottawa County Jail since October 15th for failing to appear in court on several charges. According to the sheriff, on Saturday, Victor experienced a medical emergency. Jailers attempted to render aid, and Victor was taken to the hospital where he later died. The OSBI transported Victor's body to the state medical examiner to determine the cause of death. KCU Joplin wants to make sure students who are new to the 4 states know what to expect when the cold winter weather moves in. School yesterday hosted an event focusing on the different aspects of Midwest winters. KOAM meteorologist Nick Kelly was there offering expert advice. Other topics covered were what to wear when exercising in the cold, mental health, taking care of pets, and safe winter driving. Well, the temperatures outside are already beginning to drop. Let's go to Michael Hayslip with the first look at the forecast.
Happened in about the span of 45 minutes here at the mothership. We saw the mercury drop down 10 degrees, and it happened real fast. And here's the crazy thing, Tanya. We're coming off of a day yesterday where it was 79 degrees at Joplin Regional Airport. You know what would happen if we had hit that 79 today, just by coincidence? Would have tied the November 16th record that dates back to 2016. There's your record on the Daily Almanac. As we see everything from an average high of 58 to a record low of 8 degrees from 1959. Color contour illustrating exactly where the cold front has pressed into, just about riding I-44 right now. We're starting to see the gradual drop in Miami and Grove. Neosho and Monette, those will be next on the list, as we had everything up to about 65 to 67 degrees earlier this morning. And so after the sun rose, we've worked the opposite way back down. Now we're seeing as low as 50 in Iola and Fort Scott. 45 is the cool spot. That's in Pittsburgh right now. And we've picked up just a little light rain. Let's go ahead and remove the satellite coverage. We know it's overcast outside. This will give us an idea of just the light rain that we see moving through. And then we got another band that's beginning to form up in northern Kansas, stretches through Nebraska and then up through Iowa, kind of rides the jet stream right there. And so it's going to be one of those afternoons where it's certainly nothing severe, but it's worth hanging on to the umbrella as we see a little gap in between those two bands. And boy, I tell you what, it'd be nice to be down in the southeastern portion of the United States today, wouldn't it? Because that's what spoiled us for the past couple of days. So look at our weather trend. We're going to kind of balance out here this afternoon, kind of hang out in the high 40s, low 50s. So that won't be too bad because we're helped out by some cloud cover. But here's what happens overnight. As that front continues east towards the Mississippi, well, it takes the cloud cover with it. And when it takes the cloud cover with it, it gets cold. We're going to slip down to around the freezing point tonight. Then even though we're going to have sunshine on Thursday, we're going to get below the freezing point for Thursday into Friday.
Ouch.
Coming up here in just a little bit, let's go ahead and press ourselves into the weekend. Also to do a little long range because we got a big chance for a nice nor'easter. I know everybody hates that term because we've got holidays approaching, and that's looked like it's going to hit the East Coast just in time for Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's great. A lot of people traveling. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, retail sales are on the rise as Americans start their holiday shopping, but many businesses are struggling to meet the demand and find enough workers. Meg Oliver visited one business that's turning to high school students to fill the gaps.
We get a little bit here and there, but we just really aren't getting the responses we used to get.
Jessica Woodward runs Montclair Bread Company. She doesn't usually hire seasonal workers, but this year she's relying on them to stay open.
It's going to be a little crazy next week, especially for Thanksgiving. That's our biggest one to get through, but I mean, we'll get through it.
She's working extra hours to get by and turning to high schoolers.
Could you stay open on the weekends without your high school employees?
Probably not forever, or not always. We can handle it in the short term, but it's just like all our other staff would get burned out.
It's not just mom and pop shops that need more employees. Big retail chains are expected to hire around 600,000 seasonal workers to keep up with the growing demand, according to the National Retail Federation. Amazon is hiring 150,000 new employees, Kohl's needs about 90,000, and UPS needs to hire more than 100,000 workers. Larger companies are also offering more incentives to attract new employees. Amazon, Walmart, and Macy's are among many raising wages and offering signing bonuses, healthcare benefits, and even tuition reimbursement. But many small businesses can't compete.
And I think that's why the customers getting frustrated with service being slower in places have to understand that that's the way things are going to be right now.
Businesses like this bakery are facing a perfect storm with increased demand, staff shortages, and rising prices for ingredients like flour and shortening. Meg Oliver, CBS News, Montclair, New Jersey.
That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, for the first time in nearly half a century, NASA has a rocket capable of sending astronauts back to the moon. We get an up-close look at the Artemis rocket. And later, we're making a butter-basted herbed turkey in the Mr. Food Test kitchen. For the first time in nearly half a century, NASA has a rocket capable of sending astronauts back to the moon. Space Launch System rocket is taller than a football field is long and more powerful than the iconic Saturn V from the Apollo program, which last flew in 1973. NASA is preparing its new moon rocket for the first test launch in the coming months. Mark Strassman gives us an up-close look and shows us NASA's new timeline for a lunar landing.
Both iconic and daunting, NASA's Vehicle Assembly Building is one of the largest in the world.
But obviously you need something this big for a vehicle this big.
Towering inside, a new rocket that makes you feel just as puny. It's called the Space Launch System, or SLS.
This thing is massive. It's about 322 feet tall, so that's taller than the Statue of Liberty.
We had to step way back with NASA Test Director Dan Flores to get a good look at the most powerful rocket ever built.
If you look past the scaffolding, you can see the nose of the two boosters.
Yep.
How powerful?
So the boosters provide about 7 million pounds of thrust at liftoff. That's a lot of power. It's a lot of power.
NASA spent 11 months stacking this mega rocket piece by piece. The core stage, 212 feet long, arrived by barge. Its 4 engines will produce another 2 million pounds of thrust.
You got a rope up in there?
Cranes gingerly lifted and lowered billions of dollars of space hardware into place.
And then at the very top?
The very top, you have Orion.
Orion is the crew capsule. Flores took us up 311 feet for a closer look.
When you look at it this close, you look at all the hundreds of thousands of nuts and bolts that have to be torqued, the hours spent by our technicians getting this work done to get us to this major milestone.
And every one of those bolts better be perfect.
They better be, right?
That's because early next year, this rocket and capsule will roll to the launch pad for a critical test flight, Artemis 1. SLS will launch Orion on a course 40,000 miles beyond the moon and back. No astronauts will be on board this flight, but it's the first in a series of increasingly complex lunar missions.
We've got a moon-bound rocket stacked with a crew capsule for the first time since Apollo 17 in 1972.
Oh, this is a big deal, and it is beautiful, and it is a monster.
After more than $30 billion in development costs, NASA Administrator Bill Nelson knows the pressure's on for that test flight to go well.
I am an optimist by nature. True, space flight is risky, and there are penalties that you pay because mistakes are made by human beings.
The next mission, Artemis 2, will have a crew. It's due to fly around the moon by May 2024. NASA's now hoping Artemis 3, a moon landing using SpaceX's Starship, happens sometime in 2025. That crew will include the first female moonwalker, and astronaut Kayla Barron's one of the candidates.
If they ask who wants to go to the moon first, you're raising your hand?
Oh yeah, I think we all raise our hands. Like, who would not want to go to the moon? Whatever the crew ends up being, we're going to be pumped for each other.
But first, the most complex rocket in history has to work. America's lunar future depends on it. Mark Strassman at the Kennedy Space Center.
Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
This year, we're going to help you make sure your turkey is buttery rich and packed with flavor in every slice.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Well, we certainly knew it wasn't going to last forever, coming off of a Tuesday that we just about reached 80 degrees at Joplin Regional Airport. Time to remind ourselves that it is the middle of November and we should only be in the high 50s each and every single day. Let's take a dip below the cloud cover because the big factor for us is the cold front that has steadily moved in all morning long. Wasn't one of those that just ripped the rug out from us where, we had the 20-30 degree drop in a matter of an hour. But we have seen temperatures go from anywhere that were in the mid-60s earlier this morning all the way down to the high 40s before we begin to stabilize just a little bit. Still haven't seen the far reaches of the southeastern portion of the 4 states in southwest Missouri get down to that 50-degree mark, but there's your dividing line. Miami and Grove are going to be up next, followed by Neosho and Monette, and then we'll cap off the afternoon with Anderson and Cassville dipping into the 50s as well. Everybody else pretty much already there. Ran into a big cold snap in Pittsburgh, and the big difference there, as far as everybody else being in the 50s, when the winds did shift in, they kind of went through this calm period as the dominoes fell down to the southeast. It did not in Pittsburgh. As a matter of fact, multiple reports of some tree limbs that were down on roads in Pittsburgh once that wind shifted, and it really has picked up after that. 26 miles an hour is what we're blowing right now in Independence, 22 in Nevada, and once again, that's going to be your defining line where it stays just a little bit warmer. So there really is no calm before the front, if you will. As soon as that wind begins to shift around, it keeps on going. 24-hour temperature change has been quite amazing because earlier this morning, we were looking at plus 20s from Wednesday morning to where we were on Tuesday morning. Yet here we are, a mere 6 hours after we last showed this graphic, and now we're seeing 20-degree drop. So all in all, consider that like a 40-degree difference there as far as how we warmed up overnight. It was gorgeous overnight, and then where we ended up with the front. We picked up just a little light rain. It's going to end up being trace amounts. Don't even think we'll get to that 1/4 inch. We do have a little secondary band up to our northwest right here, but it's doing a good job. We're kind of ranging toward the Great Lakes. This is the one along the front. Never really got organized, and we knew it wasn't going to be severe. We knew there was no thunder, lightning, no heavy rain with it. But it really just never came together like it wanted to. Lord knows it tried time and time again this morning. It just kept on getting interrupted right in central Missouri. And so that's why pretty much for the rain, don't need to worry about it for the rest of the day because now we're seeing that low pressure usher that cold front all the way down to the southeast. High pressure behind it. The problem with that is that's going to push away our cloud cover overnight, and that's going to put us down around the freezing mark. That being said, we've been talking about this freezing mark. We still haven't had any freeze watches or warnings pop up for the entire day. Now, I'm going to be very surprised if that doesn't happen tomorrow because we're going to be talking 33 tonight. We're going to be talking 30 for Thursday night into Friday morning. So watch that wind as it continues to shift. It'll let up a little bit. We won't have 20 to 25 miles per hour overnight. We'll just roll about 10 to 15. And like I said, that's a scattered variety. It tries to get organized over here on the other side of the Mississippi, but nobody even shows up in the severe thunderstorm risk map. There goes our cloud cover. Chilly tomorrow morning. Bundle up the kiddos. Get ready to have a jacket for the rest of the weekend. And look at this. As we get into Thursday night, we're jockeying back and forth there with the freezing point. Friday brings us a little bit of cloud cover, so our temperatures get a little better. Hey, just want to head real quick into Thanksgiving here, national perspective. This will be next Monday. This is what we were talking about. Well, I tell you what, if you got plans, if you got family out here, that's what you want to keep an eye on because that's going to be your national talker headed into Thanksgiving. For us, we're going to stay on the dry side. It's going to be a great holiday for us. So just remember, it's where it should be this time of year. This is not abnormal. This is not huge. We just got spoiled Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, definitely. So, gotta keep an eye on things for sure, and we'll watch how it changes.
Hey, at least we don't have to deal with precipitation when we talk about those freezing numbers.
Very true.
Right.
Way to think glass half full.
I'm trying. You're having an influence on me.
I like that. All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Staff Sergeant Harry Sinclair in the U.S. Navy. Sailor hails from Iola, Kansas. He served in the Navy from 1960 to 1964 and later with the Army National Guard. To Harry Sinclair, we thank you, our four-state hero. Looking for a classic way to prepare your turkey that's buttery good? Well, today Howard shows us how he makes sure all the Thanksgiving flavors are gobble it up good with his butter-basted herbed turkey recipe in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
As we count down the days until Thanksgiving, today we're sharing a classic way to prepare your turkey that is buttery good. This is a recipe we shared with you a few years ago, and it was so popular we thought it was worth bringing back. So here we go. The first thing you want to do is make sure your turkey is totally thawed and that you removed the giblets and neck. We place it in a roasting pan, breast side up, and stuff the cavity with some cut up onions and celery. This is going to ensure that our turkey is flavorful on the inside as well. Next, we combine some chopped parsley, poultry seasoning, paprika, garlic powder, and some salt and pepper with lots of butter. Now, it's time to rub, or as some people say, massage the turkey with half of our seasoned butter. And yes, it's best to do this with your hands. After covering the pan with foil, into the oven it goes. In about an hour and a half, off comes the foil and we baste it every 30 minutes with more butter. Once the turkey reaches 165 degrees and the skin is golden, it's done. After it rests for a bit, it's time to carve. My guess is that you'll be sneaking a piece or two before it ever makes it to the table. It's that good. To get the recipe for our butter-basted herb turkey, simply visit our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen with Kelly, where today we found a gobbling good way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
I've made that turkey and it did turn out wonderful. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website, koamnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our four-state market prices.
Little light scattered rain for the rest of the afternoon and evening. And remember tonight, see that cloud cover that can be helpful? It's a thing of the past. And we're going to head down to the 30s. We're going to head down to that freezing mark. Not only for tonight, but even after tomorrow's sunshine, we're going to do it again on Thursday night.
All right, what do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5, drug overdose deaths have risen nearly 30% during the COVID pandemic. In Health Watch, why experts say it's happening and one mother's plea to stop the crisis. Plus, all Kansans over the age of 18 are now eligible for booster shots. And the city of Carthage unveils its plans for a Christmas village and ice skating rink. Hope you join us for those stories. A lot more, of course. It's all coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
Sounds like fun. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.